Donald Trump's trade war is off and running, and bad news for his supporters. The EU just declared reciprocal war on the United States. Well, part of it anyway. Fair warning, you might find this report equal parts satisfying and horrifying. Welcome to Occupy Democrats, I'm David Reddish. The past 2 weeks have seen Donald Trump promote his tariffs, and as of this morning, they have all gone into effect. Not that they've ever made any sense at all. Trump doesn't seem to understand that tariffs affect only the importing country. Worse, he's calculated his reciprocal tariffs based on the trade deficit, not tariffs charged by other nations. In other words, he's milking American businesses and consumers for all he can, based on really faulty math. For more information on that mess, check out our other videos here on the channel. Trump has said that he is open to renegotiating his tariffs with other nations, but given that they recognize him as a mentally deficient narcissist, they aren't holding out much hope. This chaos extends to even our closest allies, like the European Union. Check out what EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen had to say about it all last Wednesday, just after Trump made his announcement. Take a look.
I know that many of you feel let down by our oldest ally. Yes, we must brace for the impact that this will inevitably have. Europe has everything it needs to make it through the storm. We are in this together. If you take on one of us, you take on all of us. So we will stand together and stand up for each other. Our unity is our strength. Europe stands together for our business, for our citizens, and for all Europeans. And we will continue to build bridges with all those that, like us, care about fair and rules-based trade as a basis for shared prosperity.
Yes, you heard that correctly. The EU considers the US its closest and most important ally, but is not above fighting a trade war that it sees as an assault on its own economy. And war, historically, makes strange bedfellows. World War II, for example, saw the ardently anti-communist Winston Churchill allying with the Soviet despot Joseph Stalin. The two became good friends, even if they spent the post-war years in Cold War bickering. Flash forward to today, when the EU has allied itself with another of Trump's biggest tariff targets, China. Stop and think about this for a second. Trump has actually made two political rivals close allies, and he's done so in their opposition to the United States. Are you feeling lonely yet? If that alliance doesn't bother you, it is about to. This morning, the EU announced implementation of a broad range of tariffs against the United States, and these new tariffs are designed to specifically attack certain parts of the American economy and certain regions of the country. Take a look.
Overnight, and now we're getting a retaliation from the European Union. Just in the past couple of moments, the European Union approving tariffs on about $23 billion worth of American goods in retaliation for President Trump's tariffs on the EU. Some of these tariffs, there's an extensive product list here, which I won't go through, but some of these tariffs do appear to be sort of politically targeted to hit certain agricultural products and other things in the United States that would hit particularly red states or the states closest to American political figures. So no comment from the White House. I just spoke to some folks in the West Wing. No comment from the White House yet on the Chinese retaliation or this new EU retaliation that we've just gotten. But we do expect maybe to see a response from the president at some point this morning on his social media platform.
Yes, you heard that correctly. The EU is purposely targeting states that voted for Donald Trump with his tariffs. They are specifically designed to further squeeze and dismantle their already tenuous economic state. They thought their economy was bad under Joe Biden? At least they had one at the time. That may not be the case much longer. There's a temptation to feel some schadenfreude here against red state voters who thought Trump would make them all millionaires, but, like a child warned not to play with fire that ends up self-immolating, it's just ugly, and it's a sad thing to see. And if that sounds alarmist, take this into account. Like military wars, trade wars hinge on alliances and coordinated attacks. If the EU manages to coordinate with China, as it is already doing, along with, say, The UK, Japan, or Canada? What will that do to the American economy as a whole? Will residents of red states move to blue states seeking opportunities? Will they be able to afford that? Will they be able to find work? Or is this all part of Trump's plan to create a new American serfdom? Disposable human beings to die in the cogs of polluted factories, collapsing mines, and in shantytowns, just like they did in the Gilded Age. It's all an open question. As the U.S. market continues its downward spiral, and as Mike Johnson refuses to let the Senate bill that would nullify Trump's tariffs and his tariff powers come to a vote in the House, we can only speculate. Let's all agree on one thing. We need to find an end to this trade war before it claims any more casualties. Elizabeth I of England is supposed to have said she didn't like war because wars have uncertain outcomes. That woman was ahead of her time. This is Occupy Democrats.